Public enemy number one, Anopheles, the malaria mosquito. Wanted for willful spreading of disease and theft of working hours. For bringing sickness and misery to untold millions in many parts of the world. This tiny criminal is linked to the destinies of man in a cycle of disease transmission that could not exist without either man or mosquito. Each is solely dependent on the other for the existence of the dread malaria. Anopheles is readily distinguished from other mosquitoes by the fact that she stands on her head at an angle of 45 degrees or more. This newly hatched female has not yet touched human blood, therefore does not contain malaria. But if we follow her, we'll soon learn how she becomes a malaria carrier. Like all thieves and killers, she works best under cover of darkness. Locking and barring doors and windows will not keep this hungry prowler out. She can enter through a small crack. What will she find to steal here? Only a little blood, which this man, racked with the chills and fever of malaria, will never miss. Assuming her typical angle of 45 degrees or more, she injects saliva to make penetration easier. And in a few seconds, she begins to feed. But this man is sick. Along with his blood, she's drinking in the parasites, which cause malaria. Gorged with disease-laden blood, she makes her way to some cool, dark place, where she will rest for several days and digest the blood. Although the blood is digested, the disease parasites are not harmed in any way. On the contrary, they multiply to great numbers. Hungry again, she flies out as evening falls in search of blood. This time she carries with her the malaria parasites with which she is infected. Enjoying the peace and plenty of the home he's worked so hard to build, this man is healthy and happy. Little does he suspect he's to be the victim of this bloodthirsty vampire. Again, saliva is injected to make penetration easy. But this time, the saliva contains malaria parasites, which enter the bloodstream. She dines on healthy blood, and in payment leaves the chills and fever of malaria. In all probability, this man will not die, but neither will he truly be alive, for he'll be continually in poor health, unable to work and keep up his farm. Slowly, he will lose all he has worked for. His crops will rot in the fields. His buildings and fences fall into disrepair. His livestock will be neglected, and he'll be unable to earn the money to feed and clothe his family. Multiply this man's tragedy by numberless cases all over the world, and we have millions of dollars lost, as well as untold misery for the victims. And all because of this tiny criminal, which has assumed the proportions of a monster. Are there 6 or 7 people in the audience who will volunteer to help us combat this evil? Good. Well, thank you, men. But before we can attack the enemy, there are certain facts we must know. The first and all-important fact is this. The Anopheles mosquito must have water to lay her eggs in. These eggs float about and soon hatch into larvae or wigglers, which lie parallel to the surface where they feed and breathe. In this larva stage, the mosquito is easy to control. After 7 to 10 days, the larva becomes a pupa or tumbler and can still be controlled. But once she emerges from the pupa as an adult, she can slip through our fingers and become a menace to human life within a mile of her birthplace. All right, men, now we can begin to fight. Plague-ridden family. These people have lost everything simply because they failed to take a few easy precautions. Remember, there is only one cause of malaria, the mosquito. Destroy the mosquito and you will wipe out the disease. Then, in place of sickness and poverty, there will be health, safety, and happiness. This is a story of two families. One of them happy, one of them sad. One of them clean, the other careless. One of them healthy, the other sick. Suppose we call them the clean family and the careless family. Now, how does it happen that the careless family is sick while the clean family is not? Well, let's see how the folks in the clean family live. They live in a clean little house that looks like this. Let's go inside. It's mealtime. Here's the mother cooking for the family. Notice that she cooks on a simple stove of brick. And for good reason. She wants the food to be kept clean. And see how clean her dishes are kept, and how clean the food is, protected from flies. And look outside here. This is how the clean family keeps the pigs and chickens, confined in a simple corral of stakes and thongs. This keeps the yard clean and also keeps the pigs and chickens from wandering into the house. And this means a clean house. Here's the father working in the cornfield with his son. This is indeed a happy family because it's a clean family. But let's compare this to the way the careless family lives. Here is their house. And here are some of their chickens. And here's their pig left loose in the yard. But let's go inside and meet the family. Hey, you, get out of there. You don't have any business in the house. Here is the mother cooking the family meal. She cooks on the floor, as has always been her custom. But this has disadvantages. Uh-oh, here's a chicken loose. And there's that nosy pig again. Cooking on the floor exposes the food to dirt and dust, and to the sicknesses that might be in dirt. The father is not able to work because he's sick. Little Johnny has stomach cramps, and he sits in the corner most of the time. Why should there be so much sickness in this home? Well, let's go back to the day when Johnny first became ill with the cramps. Poor Johnny, he was in great distress. And to make matters worse, there was no latrine, but there was a cornfield. That's where everyone went. It was the custom. But this was a very bad custom. Though Johnny didn't know it, he was soon to bring more sickness into his family. Why? Well, when a person has a sickness of the stomach, that which leaves his body also contains the sickness, and the sickness will live in the dirt where he's left it for many days. One morning, a few days later, the father went into the field to hoe his corn. Yes, the same field where Johnny had often come with his stomach cramps. The sickness was still living in the dirt where Johnny left it. Johnny's father found it hard work hoeing the long rows in the hot sun, and so he sat down for a few minutes to rest. Idly, he sifted the cool dirt through his fingers the way a true farmer will. That dirt had in it an evil sickness, the sickness left there in the field by Johnny. And even though he dusted the soil off his hands, the invisible sickness stayed. And so he carried it with him when he went home to dinner. And since he never washed his hands before eating, the sickness from the field was still on them. It got on the food he was eating. And the sickness went with the food into his stomach. Soon he too became sick, worse even than Johnny. All this misery simply because they didn't know. How could Johnny know he should use a latrine? His family had no latrine. It was not their custom. What a careless family. But let's see what the clean family did about this same problem. The father put up a simple latrine. Here's how he built it. First, he dug a deep hole. Near at hand were some rough-hewn boards, some stakes cut from trees, and some thatched straw. Let's see how he used these simple materials. When the hole was deep enough, he laid the boards across it, leaving an opening in the center. Then he fashioned a covering for this opening to keep the flies out. Flies, too, can carry sickness if they walk in filth and then enter our homes. Then he placed the stakes at the four corners of the latrine. Now he was ready for the thatch, so he... Wait a minute. We seem to have a customer already. It's little Tommy. Excuse us, young man. Suppose we give you some privacy. There, that's more like it. That's what the thatch was for in the first place. Little Tommy has been taught to use this latrine instead of going into the field. The inside of the latrine is always kept neat and clean, and in this way the sickness of the field is kept from spreading. The careless household is indeed a place of unhappiness. Because he never washes himself, Johnny is uncomfortable. He's always scratching. Tommy, on the other hand, gets a bath often. In fact, everyone in this careful family bathes often. To keep themselves clean, they wear clean clothes. Clothes washed with plenty of good soap. Clothes dried in the sunshine, in clean places, never in the dirt. The mother washes her hands to make them clean before she handles the food. She knows that sickness on food brings sickness to those who eat that food. The father and son also know about the sickness that may be in dirt, and so they wash their hands before eating. The clean family keep their dishes clean. They keep their food clean. They sweep their house to keep it clean. They keep their yard clean, and they bury all refuse that might attract flies or rats that bring sickness. They have a good latrine, and they keep it clean, and they keep their bodies clean. These are the reasons why they're strong and healthy. This is why they're happy. Always remember, cleanliness brings health and happiness.